Okay, admittedly, this one's a little strange, but it's kind of fun too. I like fun. Okay, so this is time, let's see, 321, the first one of that day. The Mayan day was 2 Serpent, and it's all about time. I would actually prefer to do this one live, but I've got another video converting now, and that uses too much RAM for the webcam to operate smoothly. Oh well, so you're stuck with me reading again. I hope you've discovered, though, how if you drop into heart, you can still make a real connection with me there. And maybe that helps, huh? I am so grateful for what is opening up in me and opening up to me, of course. The closest thing I can come to it is the NDE, the near death experience videos I keep immersing myself in. They touch that, capital T, the closest of all that I find while here on earth. They come the closest to reporting what's going on in our own higher self, on the higher dimensions where we also exist. You and I exist there too. Did you know that? Right now, not later, now. Are you accepting it? Can you envision? Be in heart. Can you envision being here in 3D while also being in higher realms? It's all at the same time, too. There's no waiting for death to return you to your own native spaces. You abide there now, just as you always have. You are dead now. You are alive, and you are in between. How could it be otherwise when time is simultaneous? Yeah, it pretzels the mind, so get out of there. Get down in your heart. When the body or the avatar in the game dies, we get the more direct experience of these higher aspects of our very own being. Yet these are also present now. If you can't yet accept it, that's fine. Just open to the possibility that it exists. And that's enough. I drop such things into heart all the time and trust heart to notify me one way or another. And I find that it does. You might give that a try. Such actions are the same things as prayers. It's the intent they are done with that counts. By taking something that I may not be sure about and dropping it into heart, what I'm really doing is offering it up to Source. I give it with a question and trust Source to render an answer at the perfect time. Truly, it works. And it's so easy. I don't have to worry or try to figure things out. I let mine take it as far as it can, and then I give it over to Source. This might just illustrate, too, how it's not in the doing that things are accomplished. The doing is actually unimportant next to how and why something is done. As we open up to our higher dimensional self, we wake up to how precious each moment is and how we can live in it with full presence, being fully in now. Those are just words, but what they point to is surely something touching the divine. Each moment is actually divine, but it takes heart to show us its full beauty. This is a level or realm of being that mind cannot see. Heart vision ushers us fully into the now. We literally step outside of time. We see in the now moment how very precious it is by direct experience. That preciousness somehow extends to quite everything contained in any now. It's all divine. But That remains a secret to those who live by reason alone. It's something that makes no sense to the rational mind, and so it's rejected by most, especially those whose religion is science. This is how you can have a form of heaven right there where you are, in any now moment. In a way, it's by making a choice. Of course, that choice may seem to extend across many now moments of making the very same choice, being in heart. It may be that a sort of network of choices must be woven before we can truly begin to see with heart vision, to have that view activated and operational in our life. I don't know. Just like wisdom advises us to contain both poles, the opposites, to rise up above partiality or duality, being either for or against. This has to be true of time also. On the one hand, time seems to be the reality here in 3D. We have a certain way of both looking at it and living within it that we've come to accept. But on the other hand, there really is no such thing as time the way we've created it or conceptualized it in our minds. It's an illusion, a most powerful one. How can that be? Let's just look at containing the poles for now. Let us both accept the seeming reality of time and at the same time accept that it also doesn't exist as we think it does. Make way for the cognitive dissonance there and know that heart has no problems at all with it. And besides, as you do that, you're accessing your higher dimensional levels of self. What we find, and it's visible in many NDE stories, is the unreality of time in higher dimensions. As we're willing to be open and make friends with that, even though mind hasn't a clue how that could be, we make friends with our own higher dimensional selves. The way to true wisdom is not through the mind. And the background noise is Kismet snoring. Let us also look for a moment at the history of clock and calendar, of our current vision and conception of time. If we look at that fairly with an open mind, being aware that much of what's available is false information, we can see that there were literally millions of people slaughtered in the takeover of that vision, that concept of time. It was promoted and enforced by the Catholic Church, and it was mostly native peoples who had their own much more natural conception of the passage of time who were murdered. I'll link you to one of the lectures of Ian Lungold to illustrate a new way to look at time altogether. Now, though it's about the Mayan calendar, the first part of any of his lectures covers the whole concept of time. And it's valuable to adopt a sufficiently flexible perspective that we can look through one another's eyes at such things. I love Ian's work. If you just listen to the first 15 or 20 minutes, that will likely cover what I'm talking about. So, the entire time concept that the peoples of Earth go by today are highly suspect. Truth isn't found there. It's not something even compatible with truth or with higher dimensions. As usual, our 3D mental reality has been booby-trapped with all sorts of things to lead us astray from finding and connecting with real truth, with our own higher self. So, just be wary of trusting your ideas around time. Remember, they were programmed into you. Look at how it's been used to corral and control you, and to divide your experience of the now into hours and chunks that can then be owned or managed by others. Very strange. It's just one of the ways that the powers that were used to control what they call their livestock, which is man. It seems to me that's how we're looked at by those who once were in total control, and they still control, but not totally, not anymore. Well, they still are controlling in many ways, but it's just not like it once was. In order to maintain such control over something so wondrous as mankind, extreme levels of secrecy must be maintained. And they're not so good at enforcing that anymore, not since the internet. And people are getting more and more willing to just say no. We used to think we had to fight our way out of things. Well, I think that's the way they wanted us to think about it. Because on the mental plane, they have us bested in any number of ways. First, I believe their DNA is intact, unlike ours or of our bodies. And that gives them full access to the brain, and us only 10% or less conscious access to it. Unfair odds. But when you add to that the extreme levels of programming they've managed to instill in any human being, starting from birth and even before, with control of the mother's food and environment, well, you see, the stage is well set for us to lose any such fight. Well, that may be true. It is true, but only on the mental plane. Only mind has been subjected to their programming, not spirit or soul, and certainly not heart. Thus, the really wonderful secret that's not a secret anymore is that we just have to turn away. Walk away from tangling with them on the level of mind. Retreat to your position of strength, that would be heart. From there, you're basically unassailable. Once you clear out most of the old programming in favor of new beliefs you choose and adopt. It's those old beliefs that are actually controlling your life. That's how things work. That's also another secret they lost control of. How thought and belief are used to actually create. Another big part of the programming was to make us feel small and useless, incapable of much beyond survival and some small pleasures along the way. I need not lay out the many ways that man was minimized and made to feel inconsequential and worthless, or worse yet, a sinner and a positive harm to the planet. It goes on and on. It's extensive. Just look around. So when you combine all of this programming to believing we are nothing and less than that, with the reality that our beliefs actually create, what do you get? Do you not get the mess we're in here today? Give it some thought, yes, but also ponder it in heart. Give your heart a good chance to guide your understanding, and you may really be surprised at how your life can suddenly change. It's just not as terrible out there as they would like us to believe. It's really not. We have so much power, we could overturn that in one day if we could just get together. It would take this message getting out to most of us, or a really large group that could really see what's being said here, could perceive it from heart. On that very change of beliefs, our external reality would change. It must. That's the higher physics at work. The physics that has been hidden from us all along. Beliefs create. Check it out for yourself.